I just saw a fucking guy with a squid hat
Yeah,
on stage playing some fucking funk
that's funny.
at down Winston, so Friday
It's like
night.
a big old.
Just that hat with a squid and
That's
fucking awesome.
funny, squid head. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Greg Chapman here with another episode of the Gentleman Gorilla podcast. I'm here with Scott Byle, who's a small business owner, a social equity rights, fights for social rights,
Yes.
and what was the
Prison reform.
prisoner reform. He's got some fun tales that we're going to get into with that later.
Yes.
Scott, can you please introduce yourself to the camera, the people, tell them a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, my name is Scott Byle. I originally hail from Pennsylvania, a small town called Lebanon. It's known for its bologna, unfortunately. About 20 minutes
I
east
mean,
of
you gotta have
Hershey.
good bologna then, right?
I guess it's well. Hang on, they'll hang me if I say bologna again. Bologna. It's Lebanon bologna. So yeah, it's I don't know. I don't eat much meat anymore, so I stay away from it. But about 20 minutes east of Hershey, Pennsylvania, which we all know for the chocolate. So we all like to be known for food in Dutch country, I guess. Uh, but yeah, I grew up there. Suffered from ADD and a few other issues growing up. Spent some time.
I think that's a pretty traditional 90s kid.
Yeah, was taught all about the dangers of drugs from uh, the school and
Did you have a
there.
DARE
And
program
yes,
too?
that was actually the first time I ever touched drugs.
Yeah.
Actually, I got handed a pound of marijuana in school. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing, and like I was being told it was wrong, and I'm like, how can it plant? But
Yeah.
so
How old were you, sixth grade?
yes, sixth grade
Yeah, I
actually.
think that's when I did it too.
I think later on that year, yeah, it was the Super Bowl party, smoked some.
Oh, you beat me by a couple of years.
Yeah, I was 13.
Yeah.
So started smoking some weed and, of course, drinking and got in trouble right away. I got hauled off to a nice little
So
detention
you
center.
started early.
Yeah, I was locked up by 14. Um,
Damn. That's got to be. It's got to just start messing with you right away then.
yeah,
Like,
I actually,
'cause here you are, just a kid, just doing whatever,
you learn.
trying stuff out, and then they're putting you in a box right away, and
Yeah,
just changing your life.
you learn that at the end of the day you have to rely on yourself. If you don't rely on yourself, no one else is gonna step up to help you. Found that out young. Uh, so, but then there's also other, things that come along with that. So, you don't learn certain skills on how to actually thrive in society, and it puts you at detrimental risk situations on a daily basis. You never know what's going to happen from one minute to the next. You got to be prepared for how you want to handle an issue, because that way you handle an issue could haunt you for years. Um,
Do you have an example of that?
Oh yeah, perfect. So, a guy comes in, gets commissary, has a little bit of money to his name. Uh, Guys come in and say, "Hey, you're gonna give me this," and if he gives it to them without a fight, they're gonna keep taking it
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over. He's gonna be ordering for them. He's gonna be basically their bitch. That's how you become somebody's bitch. Now, if you stand up and fight for yourself, which I did to the detriment of my nose, uh, yeah, that's been broken quite a few times. It's
But to the
far from
benefit of your
to the
ramen account.
benefit that I always was able to stay my own person. Uh, I avoided being used. I avoided being overly abused.
And this is starting at like
14.
14.
This is starting at 14. This
See,
is
like,
childhood.
This
This is
stuff
my
that
childhood.
you think of grown men going to prison.
Right.
And having these turf wars in prison. No, you're
This is
14 years old.
my first
cannabis.
morning. Yeah, for cannabis.
For cannabis.
For cannabis.
A harmless plant.
Yeah. So my first morning, I was on the shitter, and There's no doors on the shitters. So I'm sitting there shitting, and this kid comes running by and grabs what I found out later to be his cellmate. And they were both naked right out of the shower, and just threw him up against the wall and just starts beating him. Blood going everywhere. I mean, it was a mess. It just damn near killed the kid. I was covered in blood. I got tackled immediately as soon as the staff came in. They tackled all three of us. The kid went to the hospital. Us two went and got interrogated. I was interrogated for about 12 hours, 8 to 12 hours. Denied food, denied water. I was told that the kid died. I was being told that I jumped him. This is my first day in,
Yeah.
and I'm being interrogated that I killed somebody. And I was just taking a shit, trying to take a shit because I was scared so much I couldn't barely take a shit. So, yeah, that has stuck with me for a while. I buried it for a while. The issue, I've been out of prison now for about 6 or 7 years. The issue with this is the further you get away and the more changes you make, the more you see the damage, and the more and more damage catches up. So yeah, what, 5, 6, 7 years away?
So you're saying like the more like you see what your normal, I guess, like reaction should be to situations.
I can't watch stabbings on TV. I can't watch overly gruesome violence. Somebody's arguing. I have to shut down because if I react, it's gonna be way over the top, and I have to shut down the situation immediately. And I get too aggressive doing that. So therefore, I become pretty much a fly on the wall.
Because I mean, literally since the time you were a child, you've been having to defend your life.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that's crazy to me. I mean, like we would see, we had our standard bullies and stuff in school.
Right.
But
Well, I dealt with that too. I dealt with that first, so I dealt with that all growing up in school, and then
I never saw anybody get stabbed or.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I've been sliced. I got sliced right across my back. Yeah. So it wasn't deep. I didn't need stitches. I didn't need none of that. It healed pretty quickly. There was this faint little tiny scar, but it's real.
But still,
it's real.
That's a few inches for being dangerous.
Yeah, and the whole situation was extremely volatile. So.
Absolutely. So I guess, you're telling me that, like, these day-to-day situations that normally, you probably wouldn't think twice about, basically have life-altering, maybe even just day-altering effects on you.
So let's get into the business end of this.
Yeah.
So, naturally, I go from one shitty job to another shitty job, pretty much working like temp jobs, So that's what I'm doing. I'm working temp jobs as I'm growing up, going from prison sentence to prison sentence. So I'm doing that. I'm jumping from industry to industry. So I've worked in fields. I've worked in greenhouses. I've worked in chicken processing plants, farms, slaughterhouses, construction, steel.
So basically, any job that could take advantage of the fact that they could underpay you and overwork you because of.
Exactly. The harder you physically work, the less money you make.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, I grew up in the cold. I grew up fighting. My hands are trashed. I used to tattoo. That's how I made it through prison. That's how I survived in prison, was tattooing. So
Which I imagine is a respected position in prison.
If you make it yourself respectable, as with everything. So
fair enough.
So I abused my hands. I have carpal tunnel, I have arthritis, and I have tendonitis. So as I'm going through, I'm losing. I had to quit tattooing. That was the hardest because I kept getting worse and worse and worse at tattooing. I couldn't figure out why, and my hands were hurting more and more and more. And then I just gave it up. And then I realized it, and now it's easier to swallow. I paint now. I do fine art painting, acrylic mostly. Even that, an hour or two into it, my hands are killing me. So I was forced out of the labor shops. My last job was painting. I was painting heavy machinery. We're taking apart big Caterpillar equipment, uh, refinishing it, painting it, and I worked there for about a month, and I couldn't hold the spray gun anymore. So I'm shaking as I'm spraying, and it just looks like shit.
Yeah.
So I lose that job. So I'm kind of forced into what do I do? So I jump back into the drafting, which I learned upstate, and structural steel, and I jumped into structural detailing, which is actually drawing the blueprints for the ironworkers.
Okay.
So I pursued this, and I couldn't really get a job anywhere. Nobody would hire me at this point. I had too much of a record, uh, too many gaps in my employment history, and honestly, I wouldn't hire me. I mean,
On
seriously,
paper.
on paper, honestly, I wouldn't hire me. Um, so I I talked to who ended up becoming my wife, my girlfriend at the time. She we decided I'd go back into drafting, so I picked up a client and I ran with him. And I stuck with one client for years, and I worked and we traveled for 3.5 years with our Great Dane. Learned a lot.
Beautiful dogs.
Beautiful dog. Oh God, she taught me so much about love and responsibility. She survived to 11 and a half. Yeah, all due to my wife. My wife's research. She's taught me so much about research and how to formulate an opinion and get to the heart of the matter. Uh, and so I've been fortunate. I have had wonderful experiences along with the horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I got here about almost 2 years. April will be 2 years ago.
To San Diego.
San Diego. The dog actually quit traveling, so we decided to move to Vista first, all based off the weather. Uh,
Okay.
so last year, beginning of the year, I expanded my company, got an office, 1,300 square foot office.
And this is doing drafting, right?
This is doing drafting, so I'm going to hire. I have work like crazy. I'm getting more, you know. So I
So
had the wife,
basically
the Great
being
Dane.
not hireable forced you to say,
Within
I'm
5
gonna start
years.
my own company.
And within 5 years of working hard and sticking to things, I went and pushed, and I was able to open my own business, open my own office, and go to hire. There was a few ground things that I didn't quite understand and didn't quite take care of. Um, the biggest mistake I made was I went about it by myself.
Mm. I made that mistake for a lot of years.
Yeah. Um, you can't organize enough. You can't pay attention to enough detail. You can't run the business and run the product.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work.
Because somebody's got to be making the decisions. Somebody's got to be making the sales and keeping the clients
Somebody
happy.
got to be paying the bills
And somebody's still got to be doing the work that
and
they're
doing the
paying
work.
you to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, through a few shuffles, what ended up happening, there was a few things. It wasn't one person. It wasn't one issue. It was a combination of a whole bunch of issues. Uh, and, from government shutdown to industry-wide slowdown to not enough workers to not, I don't want to say anything disparaging, so I'm going to stay away from that. So we have things that are outside of our control as business owners that happen. And if you're not ready for them, which I was not ready for them, you run into issues. And mine was cash flow and workflow, and it all dried up at the beginning of 2019. I held on, I pushed on, I swung for the fences, I jumped in with both feet. I tried to learn a new program. I hired anyway. I just went crazy. I lost the wife. I lost the dog. She was just too old. We had to put her down. So ended up losing my place, got a new place. Finally lost the office and my employee. Just trying to hold on for the last few months. I kind of downsized, did tactical retreat on it. I'm still drafting, back to one client. Um, so I don't. It was a succession of mini miniature failures that led to kind of a really big kick in the face, a few kicks in the face. But it's not over. It'll never be over, and it's just a new game.
Yeah.
It always is. Everything, my father always told me, and this is what got me through prison. So, and it got me through my good times and my bad times. And it was, this too shall pass. Okay. So, yeah, he always, when he said it, he meant it in for the negatives.
Yeah.
But I saw it in the positives too. Driving through the country, looking over my wife, her staring out at the countryside,
Yeah.
total bliss on her face. I saw the shadows behind it. I saw the shadows behind us, everything crumbling behind us, holding on to a moment. But that's life. You go from one moment to the next.
Yeah. It's was read recently, and I don't remember who said it. It was some quote on LinkedIn or something, but that you need to view your wins and your losses the same. Don't celebrate your wins too much, and don't rest on your losses.
Right.
Ooh. Because they're both just steps to the end of the journey.
Right. I get that all the time.
Like,
People are like, "Oh my God!" Like I tell them what's going on. They're like, "Hey, how are you doing?" I don't take that as platitudes. I don't. You ask me how I'm doing, I'm going to tell you how I'm doing. I
yeah,
ask you how you're doing. Please tell me how you're doing.
yeah.
That's
There's
So when I get into
there's
that
no difference
conversation
between
with that, and people are like, "Whoa, you've come so far. You've done all that." I'm like, "Yeah." But I can't rest on my laureates. The
it.
second I rest on my laureates, it keeps me from doing what I need to do.
Yeah, the second you stop
I'm
swimming,
focused.
you're drowning.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
you can never stop pushing forward,
Right.
even whether it's after a loss or a victory. I feel like after both of them, you tend to like want to take time off,
Right.
you know,
Well, it's
or
like,
or you need to. I think after a great victory or a great loss, something is going to change in either in people's perception of you or your perception of yourself or how your business or your life operates. Like something's going to change, and it's
mhm.
going to take you a little bit of time to adjust to your new reality, whether it's up or down. And it's just how fast can you get back to just going?
Right.
Like, how long does it take you to figure out this new position and then move forward?
Well, the thing I've come to find out too is that everything is interconnected. Everything. I always love the old adage, what does the price in tea in China have to matter with this or do with
Mm-hmm.
this?
Exactly.
And I always had a visceral reaction of everything, you idiot, everything. And now as I get older and put more and more and more stuff together, I'm seeing it. Uh, Current events, I try to stay out of it, but it bleeds into everything we do.
It does.
Especially, I was looking to get into the cannabis industry. I want to really get into the cannabis industry. I don't, Prop 64, the way it's going, I don't like the way it's going. And I started digging in, and what led me to it was that issue with Giuliani and the Ukrainians getting involved with the cannabis industry. It's the hair raised up on the back of my neck. I said, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Why is the huge. These are the people that locked me up, first of all, for
Yeah.
marijuana. Now, why are they getting involved quietly at the huge level? Oh, to take it over and make more money off of the people they already locked up. All the while creating legislation through Prop 64 and everything else to block us. And then you start looking at what else they're doing. This whole Russian collusion thing and Ukrainians and then you really start digging into it and I got hit with something this morning and I put the pieces together and God, it fucking scared me, shook me to the bone today. And I got an email from a friend about a video from a guy in the Puerto Rican government talking about how the earthquakes are being caused by fracking offshore.
Interesting.
Yeah, very. And right away I went, huh, okay. But wait a minute. I'm from Pennsylvania, from the near the Marcellus Shale, where they conduct fracking all the time. I felt the ground rumble. I understand what goes on. So I started doing a little digging. I didn't dig far. I mean, these are all press releases. This is
Yeah.
all news. I didn't even get into and here's the thing: is these people didn't even put this together into a conspiracy theory yet. This is how everybody's just missing the mark. Puerto Rico sits on the north end of a massive natural gas deposit. Okay, this is where Venezuela has been drilling. And as we all know, we've been trying to topple governments in Venezuela to keep them from producing natural gas for, since, good 20 years or so. 73, this was found by Gorgulov or something. Is firm based out McNaughton. Somebody in McNaughton, starts with a G, is based out of Texas.
Okay.
This company is the research company that found this thing in 73. 75, they started trying to produce it. Legislation from Puerto Rico, a lot of grassroots organizations blocked a lot of this. No big scales allowed to run it. 10 months ago, super tankers and a whole bunch of big, large operations were re-regulated as small scale. So now we got massive production going over, and this is why our economy is doing so good, even though the national debt's up so high. It's because we're drilling the shit out of this place. Now, where the Ukrainians come in it's the Ukrainians that are doing the actual drilling, because the Ukrainian company, was it Bismaris or
I don't recall.
I don't know if I have it.
No. I can Google it.
Okay, yeah. Bismaris Holdings or Bimaris. It's the one that Biden was involved with, and Obama. They had donated money towards, it was either the first earthquake back in 2008 or a hurricane that devastated
Burisma?
Puerto Rico. Burisma.
Yeah.
Burisma Holdings.
Yep.
So Burisma Holdings donated a bunch of money for relief efforts for Puerto Rico, back with Biden and Obama. In doing so, they gave them first rights at cracking at this natural gas. Okay. So they're hitting this natural gas, and we're trying to fight against Venezuela to knock them out of the region to allow the Ukrainians to drill for us. Okay. So this is where all this ties in together. And now we roll back into the new. So we have clearly defined two administrations, one Democratic, one Republican, all colluding over Puerto Rican oil through all the same people doing all the same things. So, if you look at our government and the way our government is actually comprised and who the players are, it's all the people that sit on the boards of these major corporations and these big, and it's all these corporations and all these companies are not paying a cent in income tax, but all the workers are all paying all their money, 33%, for income tax. Now then what happens is you got the small guys, you got the legacy businesses that are coming up through the cannabis industry and everything else. You have the smaller companies, you have all these small companies that are coming up through and they're throwing us at competition among ourselves because we can't compete with the big boy. But as soon as we want to put our product into the national or international market, most of the health foods and stuff like that. Now, it was a perfect example, Dave's bread and stuff like that. You put it up right in there, and now they buy you out, and now you're owned by them. So now you got these national conglomerates that are owned and ran by the same people that go into government and lobby government, so it's all one and the same. So they're all
people sit
colluding.
in a political position for a few years, but businesses are generally for a few decades.
Right.
The power is just longer standing, so
Exactly.
of course they're going to be working their way in. That's just human nature. I would do the same thing for my business.
Exactly.
If I saw somebody that I could make friends with in certain positions, Like if I needed to get things rezoned or,
Exactly.
or different bills passed, like of course you're going to want to make friends with them. I mean, that's just
Hmm.
power hungry 101. It's like,
Oh yeah, yeah. So my good old father, something else he told me always rang through my head. Now my father's a character. He's uh he's a machinist by trade. He's a cabinet worker also. Cabinet. He tried to run his own cabinet shop a few times. I grew up in a
nice.
cabinet shop. Uh,
So you grew up learning how to work with your hands,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. He's worked with his
I
hands his
get
whole
that.
entire life. He works 60 to 80 hours a week. He's a good man. He grew up. He's played football. He was a wrestler. He rode motorcycles and built motorcycles. He was a little rebel. He was a little bit of a badass. Uh, Calmed down when he met my mom, had us, and was a really good example for us and stuff. But one of the things that he always said, and I always got a kick out of it, but he always said, if you can't beat them, beat the hell out of them. If you can't beat the hell out of them, just fucking join them. And I mulled over that for years and years and years. And so with my company, I was like, all right, I don't like the way things are going. So I'm never going to see, they keep promising all this social equity money and everything else, but we all know the money from the taxes from the cannabis industry go right back into the general fund and pay for the police and pay for prisons and pay for all this stuff and the tax breaks for the corporations that so by the time that they even talk about equity programs, we're already against all most of the money's gone.
Yeah.
So
And it doesn't help when they short their estimates by millions,
yeah.
tens of millions, I believe.
So I always urge, and what I tried to do was build my social equity program into my company. Uh, Beautiful. Uh,
What?
no,
What up?
what? Shh. Yeah.
You want to hit this? Just come this side. What everybody? This is Dom.
Hey, Dom.
What's up?
We just, you got to share the joint when it's lit. It's just impolite to make him sit over there and just smell it.
Just smell the joint. You sit over there and smell the joint. Thanks, Dom.
So yeah, we went down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So basically, we were saying that
Oh, so I
the
urge.
taxes.
Yeah, so I urge companies to start off their social equity programs as they're starting a program. So look to hire the social inequality. Look to any innovative ways that you can give back to the environment, to these people that have been, put out in a negative effect. Because there is. I mean, it's so 85% of people that go back to prison, that get released from prison, go back to prison in the first 3 years for
that
a
high?
new offense. Right. So there's no clear, and every time that I left prison and I left jail, I've always been told, I'll see you back in a few months. There's never been a pathway home. There's never been programs home. There's halfway houses, but those are fucking ridiculous.
I'm sure. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, when I think about it, you're right. There's definitely just this whole just mindset against felons.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. And
I mean,
and then you
it's definitely
well
not.
then you look
Yeah,
even further. So, and then you have more social issues of like homelessness. And I just read a study, 50% of homeless people in developing countries have sustained um, a documented head injury. So our whole stigma with homelessness is completely wrong. Our whole idea. So we're looking at more than half the people that sustain a head injury end up on this, of homeless people sustain the head injury before they ended up on the street. Well, if that's the case, well then we need to set programs right as soon as they hit their fucking head,
Mm-hmm.
so we can prevent that. But we're not. We're going to sit here and bullshit and argue about, well, is this truly the numbers? Is this truly what? Oh, well, I don't think maybe it was drugs. Maybe that. And we're going to argue over the finer points because that's the way the media is going to set it up as. So we don't have to do nothing.
I think the problem with both, when they're both, programs that need to be in place to help people get back on their feet. So the programs for felons and people coming out of jail, as well as the homeless, I view as kind of in need of similar solutions, so like low-income housing, access to jobs, basic health care, things like that. But the problem is just out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, and that's right.
The cities are very good at being segregated into places of, even between low income and very low income, there's a big difference between walking down the street.
Yeah.
I mean, so the segregation is done very well so that we don't see it. When you don't see it, it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
And then it's not really a problem. It can continue to just be managed by police and the prison population, which I think you mentioned earlier is a for-profit system.
Yeah.
So if we keep this whole system out of the view of the public, then no one's ever going to care. Like there's a
fracking
saying,
off. Sure.
Yeah, and then there's even the
If
saying,
we keep it out of the view, who cares?
Not in my backyard, NIMBY.
Exactly.
And that's a big thing popping up for people where they're trying to build low-income housing because they don't want the only available land in San Diego here is in already developed areas, and people don't want to see that stuff, even though there's an empty lot. But what they don't understand is they've started doing these programs in Houston, I believe, and really putting in the low-income housing.
Yeah.
And it's actually raising the property values on average around the
Right.
city because they're taking people off the streets. And then
Well,
these
I
people have a
have-
place to live. They contribute more to the economy.
I'm working on something really big right now. That's going to address a lot of these issues right at the beginning. It is going to be a 501(c) registered ministry.
So this is what's next?
This is what's next.
Okay.
I'm working with a few people. I'm pretty much organizing it. I'm pushing it, but I'm looking for more and more people. Pretty much the idea behind this is we're going to keep it simple.
Okay.
We're going to keep it really simple. The idea behind it is celestial connectionism. That is what, for lack of a better term, we're going to just say religion is. But I hate that term. This is more of a way to deal with life. Our services, the way we're going to set our services up.
So what are you, I think, maybe we missed, what are you accomplishing?
This is what we're going to do. So the whole idea is it's going to be social equity based. So what we want to do is basically set up greenhouses.
Okay.
With quarters on site for homeless and people coming out of prison, halfway house type. Teach them skills, teach them how to help grow, give them, keep them working. We'll be doing this through fundraising and donations. So it'll be basically a faith-based, church-based program. So also we will be doing, and then the idea behind it is we'll be growing organic foods,
okay,
and cannabis for our services. So basically our services is everybody gets together, we'll have a sesh, we'll eat some nice organically cooked food.
Okay.
We'll sit down, we'll have a small, maybe like a 45-minute guided meditation where everybody's focused on the same thing, basically focusing on breath exercises and creating a baseline. Since it's more dealing with people with stress and anxiety and stuff like that, more the
okay. So it's kind of, so basically
therapy wrapped up in a
you need
religion.
You're gonna either find an existing greenhouse or build a greenhouse
Build
somewhere.
new ones, yeah.
And then have quarters on site, so kind of like a halfway house.
Yes.
But then the people that are living there are also going to be working the gardens, kind of running,
Yes.
helping run the center.
Yep.
that kind of stuff. So
Yes.
then they're also learning business acumen, client and customer care,
Exactly. And
sales,
we'll have
and then also working with their hands,
yeah.
which gardening, small animals,
Will somebody there
anybody
teach
can
them
tell
how to
you. You
pay
want to find purpose
taxes,
in
how to
life,
pay
bring new life into
bills?
the world, and
Right,
so
exactly. How step your life out from one transition into the next
yeah,
transition.
and then
Right.
also operating as a community center for people, even I imagine
Everybody,
just from anyone to come
anyone.
and just participate, and they can help garden, maybe you have a wood shop
Right.
in back, do
And
local repairs for people, work with tools.
we're actually looking to start services hopefully this month,
Okay.
either or by the end of February. So, um,
So what do you need right now to make this happen?
right now to make this happen, um,
Like, what is the next step that you're kind of like, all right, this is what I'm trying to get done right?
well, I always think organic. I always think what I can do personally, and if I'm going to do it by myself, because that's how most of this always ends up going. Now, the way I was going to do it was organically small first. So basically, just say, okay, start running the services. I was looking in discussion with a group of veterans about running it with them first. Doing that, it will keep me. I have a space that will volunteer their space to allow me to run that, so I can run that a couple sessions there to run and start that, which will give me a chance to polish off the services and get that kind of set. Everything's kind of a stepping stone to the next.
Okay.
Track the tension, show people I've the business model written up. I have most of it written up. I have to write a few more things up. I have to file the paperwork. I need money. I need help. I need more partners. I need a treasurer. Stuff like that. I need to
Yeah.
build a board. I need to build a company, and then I need to apply for tax exempt status, which I'd like to get by the end of the year. So,
Okay.
it's,
Yeah, that
yeah,
definitely it takes a while.
right.
But
Yes.
it's a big old
So,
booklet you got to fill out. I'm
I
sure
need to
you've
find a lawyer. The more people that will donate their time and energy and finances will be the best, will push us forward better.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's um,
I've I mean, I definitely see a very meaningful business right here,
right.
you know.
Then with the excess, the surplus, we can also legally package and sell, and we can avoid most regulations and keep so we can circumvent what I find wrong.
Right.
Um, as my father said, if you can't join them, if you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
So, and it's nothing that they aren't already doing. So,
I mean, that's the fun thing right now is it's such a new industry, the cannabis industry that like
it's
there's the laws are still
well, the thing is, it's not just the
in
cannabis
infancy.
industry. So I've been researching the fungi industry, psilocybin. Psilocybin is FDA is going ape shit over it. They are going for it. They're gunning for it. So I said, okay, cannabis industry. I'm a little late on this. Let's take a look at the psilocybin industry.
Okay. That is
So
getting
I
interesting.
started doing some research. So apparently, what happened was the last election cycle. They put forth this group that you see the stickers everywhere. Decriminalize psilocybin.
Mm-hmm.
Good group, good group. I'm not sure who's made up, so I'm not going to try to bash them. But what I've uncovered and what I've seen is they had put forth decriminalization with no framework for regulation or decriminalization. Um, it got approved, brought back to them. They were supposed to go gather signatures and put it on. And once it got to 625,000 signatures, it would be put on the ballot for a vote. They pulled it as soon as they got the approval. Went back, rewrote it, and put all the regulation and everything into it. So presented this year. It's sitting on Newsom's desk, I believe, waiting for a signature for approval, which should be approved any time, and kicked back for 625,000 signatures, which should not be an issue. And then we should see legalization in California. once we vote. The problem that I have with it is it looks awfully like Prop 64.
Uh,
Well, I'm sorry, but the people who need the weed and the fungi the most are the people who can't fucking afford it. And I refuse to allow the fungi industry to follow suit with the cannabis industry. And you know what? If it does, oh well. I have a 501c. I don't need to worry about it. It's not my fight. And then I can come at it from a grassroots organization way. And then we'll see where the regulations stand afterwards.
all right. I love it. A fungi with a fight.
The fungi with a fight.
Oh man, it definitely sounds like you're in for one hell of a journey.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and I feel like you're going to affect a lot of lives. I can definitely feel how it probably feels like there's a lot of weight on your shoulders.
Yeah.
You stumbled across something
I
important. Like
it
all the
hurts.
pain
Yeah, and it
brought you
hurts.
to this point.
Well, and the thing is this all hit me the best way I've heard described. Okay, so if you listen to if you go into how anything that Da Vinci had said, uh, Einstein, Tesla, the way they think, they got their ideas what they call from the ether. Okay, you know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, so I explain the way my mind works to a friend of mine, and right away he's like, "Hey, do you hear about this? Da da da." And he had Da Vinci. I was like, "No." So he explained it to me. And that's exactly kind of how this hit. It was seeing a bunch of information, a bunch of different ways, from different angles, and I pieced it slowly together. And then I just kind of forgot about it, got really, really fucking stoned for, bunch of dabs, couple days, just, fucking, having fun, partying with the
Yeah.
boys, just chilling. And went home, lay in bed, woke up the next morning, bombarded with it.
It just landed in your head.
Just landed, hit me like a ton of bricks, just floored me. And I'm sitting at my computer. I put aside my drafting work. I put aside everything for 3 days.
Can't do anything but his
I
life
can't do
slowly.
anything but push that out, push
Yeah.
that out, push that out. And it's not me. It's not me.
It's coming from somewhere.
It's coming from somewhere.
It's just making sense.
It's just making sense.
All the pieces.
All of it. It's just
falling.
clicking.
It's like a waterfall of like Tetris, and it all.
It's
just,
like a
it's
painting.
chaos.
It's like when I'm
It's
painting a
just coming
painting.
down, and it's just landing perfectly.
Right. When you're
like,
painting a
oh.
painting and you just don't know, and you're just pushing and you're pushing the paint, and it just boom, 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 and you step back and you're like, holy fuck,
Yep.
there it is.
And you just look at it.
Yep.
And you're just like the biggest smile on your face.
Yeah.
Because you got it out, and it makes sense.
And it makes sense.
You just know this is next.
Yeah. And then every time, and I put it, and oh God, I'm my own worst critic. There's so much that the world doesn't see that I produce, that I kill in a heartbeat so fast. And then I put this in front of somebody very, very, very one of the most intelligent people I've ever met to critique it, and his reaction got me to push, and it's slow. Like I'm only letting it out low, it's little by little, because I feel like if I say too much, if I push too much, it'll blow the candle out.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. But
But it's a little.
it's
always
a
a little
lot.
bit. It's always something that's a little bit too past the edge of other people's understanding.
Yeah.
Because you're seeing a future for yourself that only you can see. And
Yeah.
so when you break other people's ideas of who you are too much, then they just immediately cut you off. Like they'll just
Shut down.
They'll
They
lose
just shut down.
interest.
Yeah.
Because it's impossible to explain all of the pieces at the base of the pyramid in enough time because you got to get through everything.
Everything.
before they lose interest until they think you're crazy.
Yeah.
So you almost just have to like select who you tell like little pieces of it to.
Exactly.
And eventually you get to a point where the message is clear, the idea is solid, you've whittled down like what it is
Right,
to
because
a,
I'm not
to a
there yet.
marketable
I'm
point.
not there yet.
Because
I'm not there yet,
you
and I
can't
need
move into the marketplace until you have a point.
right. And there's more
Like,
intelligent people that can help me finalize this than me ever pushing this on my own. You know, and that's what I'm looking for. Is hey, I got a framework. I got the vehicle.
put all the little pieces together.
I got the vehicle. Let's fucking do it.
Yeah, this is the
You
most
know.
fun and the most frustrating period.
Yeah.
It's like it's fun because it's still so new and people are
It's
getting excited.
excited.
Like I'm excited. This
Yeah.
is awesome. Just let me know how I can help, by the way.
Okay. Well, this
But
is helping.
I love social equity, everything. But yeah, this is my favorite part. I love what comes next for you when the team starts building.
Yeah. Yeah. It's exciting.
That's the phase that like I was just at. Right now we're like, I think we finally hit our tip. We're like entering the marketplace officially.
Beautiful.
So what's next for me is actually running this business, and I'm really excited.
That's awesome.
You know. Oh man. Well,
Were we
I
hitting
think
time?
we're getting pretty close.
Okay.
So
Any questions for me?
yeah, I want to know. What do I want to know? There's so much. My mind is racing now too. You got me going. Like
I
'cause
know.
I'm
It's a doorway. It
Yeah.
just
because I've always been very interested in helping change public perception around like low income housing and communities like built around getting everything back in order.
yeah. I have a
For
few
people's
designs.
lives.
I have a few beautiful designs laid out for construction stuff. That's one
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, one thing that spending a lot of time in prison and having a construction background and drafting background helps with. You know, you get time
Yeah.
to play around.
Right. That's definitely a good opportunity. What I wanted to mention to you is that I'm part of a local nonprofit called Southern California Youth Alliance
Okay.
that we founded a couple years ago. My friend who has been starting a development company, so building homes.
Okay.
And so SoCal Youth Alliance, what we do is we take at-risk youth and then we actually put them
Stop.
on job sites, on
Okay.
our job sites, and we pay them, and it's a 13-week program, and then we get them graduated directly into training for like electrician, journey work, like whatever they want.
My industry
So-
suffers drastically from a lack of personnel,
Yeah.
qualified personnel in the United
So
States.
I definitely think that there's potentially a way for us to work together, and we do have our 501c3, and you
Okay.
can sometimes. I'm not really sure. The laws are fucking crazy when it comes to nonprofits. Like we brought in these two ladies who are consultants, and they just coached us for like hours on end and put together our book and everything.
Oh, really? Okay,
Like,
great.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. So
Yeah.
like they set us up right. They're like, this is how you set up your board. This is how you make decisions. Like these are the different laws that like you really need to take seriously. Like these are the ones that are kind of more lax. Like
Okay.
it was like boom, boom, and just got us set off on the right track.
Wonderful.
So definitely, 501c3 fun is just super fun. But like learn it and learn it right, and
Okay.
it's gonna help you make everything easier
Okay.
for sure.
Thank you.
But I definitely think we should talk. We might
Yeah.
be
Yeah,
able
we
to
will.
work together on some of that
Yeah.
with placing people and all of that. Because there's definitely the interviews are interesting. So
Dump.
and kind of you might want to look into using like a third party resource, somebody else that's already working with people, and then only take people that
Right.
have already kind of graduated into a
Okay.
position.
Yeah. So yeah, to vet
Yeah.
our people.
Yeah, because
I was looking at that before.
people can bring you down
Really fast.
really fast.
Yeah, I know that.
So
I've seen
being
that
really
over and
careful on
over.
the first steps is
I've seen that over and over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah, even if they're the best intentions, sometimes bad shit just follows people.
Yeah.
And so it's good to have people that have spent just time with people, because bad shit like comes over time. You know, like they might be perfect for 9 months, but then something gets brought up,
Yep.
and then all of a sudden
Something.
their world comes crumbling down, and your business is so young that you have to rely on them for a lot of shit.
Right.
And then basically when they crumble, it completely erodes a part of your business.
Yeah.
And just you have to start over. Like you're so young, like you're not even the same business all of a sudden anymore, because the services that you can provide are gone.
Are gone.
Or a piece of it are gone. So you are essentially a different business because they're just gone. So that was a lesson learned a lot. Trying to partner with people over the years.
Yeah.
So like you build and build, and then they're gone, and then your business is just gone.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Awesome, man. I guess, do you have any final words you want to share real quick? Promote yourself, a website, social media, anything like that?
Check out Confidence in Cannabis. They gave me my first speaking opportunity. It's a social advocacy group. Was based out of here in San Diego. We just moved operations to Las Vegas. So we still have the
And that's
San
with
Diego
Amanda, right?
Amanda Henry. Yes, amazing individual.
Confidence in Cannabis.
Biz. Andy Wagner writes for us also. Like to give a shout out to Kathy Bliss over at Mankind, who's pushed me to the forefront.
Kathy?
Hey, and Linda, thank you.
Oh, and Linda.
All my people over there.
She's my favorite with her
Yes.
umbrella.
Oh God, yes. My people, my Cannon tribe. My buddies over at Syndicate Entertainment Group. Without them, I wouldn't learn half the marketing stuff I've learned. Of course, Gentleman Gorilla, Green Ammo Project.
Good guys. Winners of the first bong competition.
Yes.
Coming in July.
Yes, beating me.
Yeah.
Beating me out. Oh, is he coming out?
Oh, yeah, we're going to do a second one in July. So
awesome.
Master Bong's going to come down again.
Awesome.
We're going to do the whole thing.
Okay, great.
So I'll let you get the date as soon as we figure it out.
Great. Shout out to the boys, Daring Greatly. The best band of Grace Our Shores since, I'd say, the Beatles. They're good. They're getting better and better. They're tight. So I've been running around with them, doing some consulting, not much, but we're working together for a few things. So we'll see what goes on. Very exciting guys. Very, very in tune. So yeah, shout out to just everybody, really. You all know who you are. Thank you all. I love yous all. So yeah, we'll can just keep building.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you.